What if I told you there's a mental technique so powerful, so immediate in its effects, that mainstream science tried to suppress it for decades? Not because it didn't work, but because it worked too well, producing results so rapid and undeniable that it threatened everything we thought we knew about how reality actually operates. I know that sounds like an exaggeration, maybe even impossible, but stay with me here, because what you're about to discover has been hidden in plain sight for nearly a century. There's a woman you've probably never heard of, someone whose work was deliberately marginalized, whose books were quietly removed from academic circles, not because her methods failed, but because they succeeded in ways that made people deeply uncomfortable. Her name was Florence Scovel Shinn, and she stumbled upon something that shook the foundations of conventional psychology. Here's what makes this story so fascinating. While traditional approaches to transformation insisted you needed years of therapy, countless sessions, and slow gradual progress, Florence discovered a backdoor into human consciousness that bypassed all of that. She found a way to reprogram the deepest layers of your mind in moments, not months. And the results were so consistent, so dramatic, that witnesses described them as spontaneous miracles. People would apply her technique, and within days, sometimes hours, their entire reality would shift. Opportunities appeared out of nowhere. Relationships healed overnight. Financial breakthroughs materialized as if by magic. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Now, you might be wondering, if this technique is so powerful, why haven't you heard about it? Why? Isn't this taught in schools, discussed in psychology departments, or recommended by therapists everywhere? The answer is both simple and disturbing. When something works faster than the established system can explain, when results appear too quickly to fit the accepted model of how change happens, it gets labeled as dangerous, radical, or dismissed entirely as pseudoscience. Has this ever happened to you? You've tried affirmations, visualization, positive thinking, all the popular manifestation methods, and while they might work occasionally, they feel inconsistent, unreliable, like you're missing some crucial piece of the puzzle. That's because you are. What Florence understood, what got her work banned from mainstream acceptance, was that there's a hidden architecture in your mind, an invisible code that's been running your life on autopilot since childhood. And this code doesn't respond to willpower, forced positivity, or repetitive mantras. It responds to something completely different. Something so elegant and simple that once you understand it, you'll wonder why nobody ever taught you this before. What you're about to discover isn't just theory or philosophy. This is a practical method that bridges forgotten spiritual wisdom with what cutting-edge neuroscience is only now beginning to validate. And when you understand how to work with this hidden code, how to speak the language your subconscious actually understands, transformation stops being a struggle and becomes inevitable. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because understanding what Florence actually discovered changes everything about how you approach your own transformation. She called it the neuronal field theory, and while that might sound technical, the concept is beautifully simple. Picture this. Every moment of your life, you're not just observing reality, you're actively selecting it from an infinite field of possibilities that exists all around you right now. Your brain isn't a passive receiver, like a television picking up signals from somewhere else. It's a transmitter, constantly broadcasting a frequency based on your beliefs, your emotions, your deepest unconscious patterns. And the universe, this field of pure potential, responds to that frequency with absolute precision. Think about the last time you woke up feeling genuinely excited about something, completely confident that things were going to work out. Did you notice how that day seemed to flow differently? How opportunities appeared? How people responded to you warmly? How obstacles that seemed insurmountable suddenly had obvious solutions? That wasn't luck or coincidence. That was your internal frequency, aligning with a version of reality where those things were already true. Your mind was tuning into a different channel, and the field responded by collapsing those possibilities into your actual experience. If this resonates with you, subscribe to the channel. This is where we explore the deeper truths about consciousness and transformation, and I'd love to have you along for the journey. Now here's where this gets really fascinating and why this understanding was considered so dangerous. Florence used a metaphor that makes the entire mechanism crystal clear. She said to imagine your mind as a cinema projector in a dark theater. The universal field is the screen, infinite and blank, containing every possible scene, every potential outcome, every version of your life that could ever exist. They're all there simultaneously, waiting. The projector, your consciousness, determines which film plays on that screen. Your beliefs are the lens that focuses the image. Your emotions are the light that gives it intensity and color. And your subconscious patterns, those hidden programs running in the background since childhood, they're the film reel itself, playing the same scenes over and over unless you deliberately change what's loaded in the machine. Most people never realize they're operating the projector. They sit in the audience of their own life, watching the screen, reacting to what appears, completely unaware that they're the ones determining what shows up in the first place. They see struggle projected onto the screen and think that's just how life is. They see limitation, scarcity, repeated patterns of disappointment, and accept it as objective reality. But the hidden truth behind the scenes is that the projector has access to infinite reels, infinite possibilities. The version where you're thriving, where relationships are effortless, where abundance flows naturally, that film exists right now. It's not something you need to create or earn or become worthy of. It already exists in the field. The only question is whether your internal structure, your beliefs, and emotional patterns are tuned to play that particular version. This is the revelation that shook everything, the discovery that made mainstream psychology so uncomfortable. Because if this is true, and the evidence suggests it absolutely is, then transformation isn't about years of processing trauma or slowly building new habits through sheer willpower. It's about adjusting the projector, changing what's being broadcast from within, and watching reality instantly reorganize itself to match. Write in the comments, "I'm ready to change the film." The really mind-bending part is that this isn't just spiritual philosophy or motivational theory anymore. Modern science has actually caught up to what Florence understood 100 years ago, and the evidence is undeniable. There's a famous experiment that changed physics forever, something that still makes scientists uncomfortable because the implications are so profound. It's called the double-slit experiment, and what they discovered shook the entire scientific establishment. Researchers were studying particles of light, photons, trying to understand their fundamental behavior. When they sent these particles through two slits without observing them, the particles acted like waves, creating an interference pattern as if they were in multiple places at once, existing as pure possibility. But here's where it gets strange. The moment they added a detector to observe which slit the particle went through, the behavior changed completely. The wave pattern collapsed, and the particles suddenly acted like solid objects with definite locations. The simple act of observation, of conscious awareness being directed at the particles, fundamentally altered what they did and how they behaved. Think about what that actually means. It means consciousness isn't separate from the material world. Your awareness, your attention, your observation is literally participating in determining what becomes real. The external world doesn't exist independently from you, fixed and unchangeable. It's responding to you, collapsing from infinite potential into specific form based on who you are internally, based on what you're observing and expecting. This isn't mysticism. This is documented, repeatable scientific evidence, showing that the observer and the observed are connected in ways that completely challenge our everyday assumptions about reality. So when Florence said your thoughts and emotions are broadcasting outward, shaping what appears in your life, she wasn't speaking metaphorically. She was describing an actual mechanism that quantum physics has now validated. Your internal state, your consciousness, is influencing the field of possibilities around you at every single moment. But here's the challenge that trips up most people on this journey, the hidden obstacle that explains why knowing this information isn't enough to create lasting transformation. The real revelation, and this is what makes Florence's band technique so crucial, is understanding just how much of your broadcasting is happening completely outside your conscious awareness. Research in neuroscience and psychology has revealed something startling. More than 90% of your daily decisions, your reactions, your perceptions, they're not coming from your conscious rational mind at all. They're being directed by unconscious processes, by patterns programmed into your subconscious years ago, sometimes decades ago, that are still running in the background, determining what you notice, what you attract, and what you believe is possible. Your subconscious is like a massive hard drive storing every experience you've ever had, every comment your parents made about money when you were 5 years old, every moment you felt rejected or unworthy, every heartbreak, every disappointment, every time someone told you that you weren't good enough or that success required struggle. All of it got recorded and accepted as truth. And here's the critical part. Your subconscious doesn't analyze or question what's stored there. It doesn't debate whether those old beliefs are still accurate or helpful. It simply obeys them, working tirelessly to keep proving them true in your current reality, because that's what it was designed to do, maintain consistency with whatever it considers to be fact. If this gave you a new perspective, tap that like button. It helps this message reach more people who need to hear it. This is the hidden truth behind why positive affirmations often fail, why you can stand in front of a mirror saying, "I am abundant," 1,000 times, and still struggle. Financially, your conscious mind might be repeating the affirmation, but if your subconscious holds a contradictory belief, it will reject that new information instantly and keep broadcasting the old frequency. The impact of this discovery is profound because it means real transformation requires accessing that subconscious layer directly, speaking its language, bypassing the resistance that blocks surface-level attempts at change. Put down. I see the pattern now. And there's another mechanism at play here that most people have never even heard of. Something happening in your brain right now that's determining what you can and cannot see in your daily reality. It's called the reticular activating system, and it might be the most powerful gatekeeper between you and the life you actually want. Every single second, billions of pieces of information are flooding your senses. Sights, sounds, possibilities, opportunities, connections. Your conscious mind can't possibly process all of that data. It would be completely overwhelmed. So this filter, this reticular activating system, acts as a screening mechanism, deciding what makes it through to your awareness and what gets blocked out completely. But here's the part that changes everything about how you understand your circumstances. The criteria this filter uses to decide what's relevant isn't based on logic or what would actually benefit you. It's based entirely on what your subconscious already believes to be true. If your subconscious has accepted the belief that money is hard to come by, your reticular activating system will literally filter out opportunities for financial gain. They could be right in front of you, clear as day to someone else, but your brain won't even register them. They're invisible to you, not because they don't exist, but because your internal programming has deemed them irrelevant to your reality. This is why two people can walk through the exact same environment and have completely different experiences. One person sees possibilities everywhere, doors opening, synchronicities happening, the right people showing up at the right time. Another person sees obstacles, closed doors, bad luck, scarcity. The external circumstances are identical. The difference is in the filter, in what their subconscious has been programmed to recognize as real and relevant. Your beliefs aren't just influencing your interpretation of reality. They're literally determining what portions of reality you're even capable of perceiving. So knowing all of this, understanding how the subconscious operates and how the reticular activating system functions, the question becomes obvious. How do you actually reprogram these systems without triggering the resistance that blocks most attempts at change? And this is where Florence discovered something so elegant, so effective that it was eventually deemed too powerful for mainstream acceptance. She found the back door, the technique that slips past every defense mechanism your mind has built up. The method is deceptively simple. Instead of using affirmations or declarations that your subconscious can immediately argue with and reject, you use questions. Not just any questions, but carefully formulated ones that contain a hidden assumption. When you tell yourself, "I am wealthy," your subconscious might instantly respond with doubt, showing you all the evidence that contradicts that statement. Your bank account, your bills, your current circumstances. The resistance is immediate, and the affirmation bounces off without penetrating the deeper layers of your mind. But when you ask yourself a question like, "Why has it become so easy for me to attract abundance lately?" something completely different happens behind the scenes. Your conscious mind can't argue with a question the same way it argues with a statement. Questions create what psychologists call a cognitive gap, an open loop that your brain is neurologically wired to close. The human mind literally cannot tolerate an unanswered question. It's psychologically uncomfortable, so your brain automatically starts searching for answers, gathering evidence, making connections, all without you forcing anything. The genius of this approach is in the assumption embedded within the question. You're not claiming abundance exists. You're assuming it's already happening and asking your mind to explain why. This bypasses resistance entirely because you're not fighting your current beliefs. You're inviting your subconscious to shift its filter, to start noticing evidence that supports this new premise. And once that question is planted, your reticular activating system immediately adjusts. It begins scanning your environment for proof that abundance is easy, for moments that validate this perspective, for opportunities you would have completely missed before. Write in the comments, "I'm asking better questions now." Now here's where this technique becomes exponentially more powerful, and it involves a window of time that most people completely waste every single day. I'm talking about the 60 seconds right before you fall asleep. That tiny sliver of time between wakefulness and sleep is one of the most potent opportunities you have to directly access and reprogram your subconscious mind. Yet most of us spend it scrolling through our phones, replaying the day's stresses, or drifting off to completely random thoughts. But something extraordinary is happening in your brain during this transition that makes it the perfect moment to plant those powerful questions we just talked about. As you move from full wakefulness into sleep, your brain waves shift from beta, which is your normal alert thinking state, down into alpha and then theta frequencies. These are the same brainwave patterns you had as a young child, when your mind was completely open, absorbing everything without filtering or questioning. In this hypnagogic state, the barrier between your conscious and subconscious mind dissolves almost completely. There's no analytical mind pushing back, no inner critic analyzing whether something is true or possible. Whatever you impress upon your consciousness in these final moments before sleep goes directly into the subconscious and gets processed throughout the entire night as if it were absolute, unquestionable truth. Florence understood this window as a direct portal into the field, a moment when you can essentially reprogram your reality at the source code level. So instead of falling asleep worried about tomorrow or replaying problems, you do something radically different. You bring yourself into a state of deep peace and presence, and then at the peak of relaxation, you ask your question, not with desperation or force, but with genuine curiosity, as if you're inquiring about something that's already happened. Why has everything been flowing so effortlessly lately? What shifted inside me that made this transformation so natural? The question assumes the fulfillment you desire is already real, and you fall asleep in that frequency, in that emotional state of it being done. During the night, while your conscious mind is offline, that frequency gets integrated, reorganized, and accepted as part of your new mental structure. You wake up different, even if you don't immediately notice it consciously. Your reticular activating system has adjusted its filters. Your subconscious has accepted new marching orders. And this is where the real magic starts to reveal itself in your waking life. Because transformation isn't just about the internal work. It's about the coherence between what you're broadcasting internally and how you're moving through the world externally. When you maintain this alignment throughout your day, when your decisions and micro-actions match the identity of the person who already has what you desire, something remarkable happens. The journey from intention to manifestation collapses dramatically. We're talking about visible shifts within 48 hours sometimes, not months or years. This isn't about sitting passively and hoping the universe delivers. It's about holding your frequency steady while remaining open to unexpected pathways, taking small aligned actions that confirm to your subconscious, this is who you are now. And as you do this, reality starts bending toward your new frequency with a speed that feels almost miraculous, because you're no longer creating the resistance that keeps most people stuck in the same patterns for decades. Put down, I'm ready for the shift. So if you've made it this far, I want you to know something. That says a lot about you. You're not here looking for quick fixes or surface-level motivation that fades by tomorrow. You're genuinely on a path of real transformation, seeking the deeper mechanisms that actually create lasting change in your life. And honestly, that's exactly the kind of person I create this content for. If something shifted while you were watching this, if a piece clicked into place, or you recognized a pattern you've been running unconsciously, I'd genuinely love to have you as part of this community. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because what we explore here isn't just theory or feel-good content. It's the practical wisdom that bridges science, consciousness, and real-world application. The kind of insights that can genuinely influence your decisions, reshape your mindset, and accelerate your entire journey. And when you subscribe, you're making sure you don't miss the next revelation that might be exactly what you need to hear at exactly the right moment. Also, leave a comment down below saying, "This message was meant for me, so I know you were here until the end." I genuinely read every single comment, and it creates this beautiful connection, knowing we're all walking this path together, supporting each other's transformation. And if you felt value in what we explored today, just tap that like button. It helps more people discover this content, and honestly, it lets me know this message is landing the way it's meant to. There's a video right here that goes even deeper into how your consciousness shapes reality in ways you probably haven't considered yet. Click and continue with me over there. I'll see you in the next one.